You've seen the bad, but now it's time for the good. I'm back in Assetto Corsa Competizione to give the GO Setups GT3 Sprint at Imola another try on Low Fuel Motorsport. Now, the race I shared earlier this week was a complete disaster. However, things are looking far rosier today. I found some good pace and I'll be starting much further up the grid to hopefully avoid any more carnage. Now, I'm car number 9 here, but I've managed to qualify P4 with a lap time of 1:42 flat. And look who's right behind me, Robin Tate. Now, I've never raced with Robin before, but I know him well from his excellent BONGO Racing YouTube channel and ACC community. He's a very fast and a very fair driver, which gives me confidence for a clean and tidy T1. Now, in all honesty, P4 might be a false position, as it was a bit of a fluke lap for me. My usual best times are in the 1:42.5 ballpark, which would have put me around 8th or 9th. If I can't stay in front of Robin and the other guys, then hopefully I can try to keep up with them. If so, you never know what might happen. Here we go then, we're underway at Imola, and it's been a while since I've started this far forward. Can I make it count? Well, it certainly looks like I've lost a bit of ground to Marcus Rosello alongside me in that orange BMW. Now I've got Robin Tate on my inside too, so I've got to leave Tate some room here, and I have lost a position for it. Meanwhile, in the rearview mirror, there was a big collision there. Two cars coming together, at least one of them span out. And that is exactly the reason why Robin and I gave each other so much space through that first corner. I held the outside line, Tate hugged the inside line. As a result, we both got through safely. The cars behind, though, not so lucky. Well, speaking of the cars behind, Timo Kleffner having a serious look up the inside into Tosa. Thankfully, I was already on a defensive line and managed to hold on to the position. But as feared, I worry I just won't have the pace to keep up with this leading four. They're already beginning to make a break for it. The gap to Tate in front now is 0.7 of a second. So I better give Robin's BONGO Racing community a shout out now before I lose sight of him. If you are looking for an ACC community to join, give Robin a shout. They are a welcoming and helpful bunch over there. I'll leave a link to the BONGO Racing YouTube channel in the description to this video below. But enough chat for now. We've got a race to concentrate on, and actually I'm closing back in on Tate here. However, it might only be temporary, because once again I'm really unconvincing through that chicane. I've struggled with it all week, that corner, just taking a bit too much curb and not being able to get on the gas quickly enough, exiting the corner. As we approach the end of lap 1 here at Imola, the pole position driver Toby Casper is leading the way. Then we've got Marcus Rosello in 2nd, Felix Valentin 3rd, and Robin Tate in 4th. So yeah, drop of 1 position for me on that opening lap, but I'm not too disappointed about that at all. Like I said before this race got underway, I do feel like I'm in a bit of a false position being this far up the grid, so my main aim was always just to get through this first lap safely. And that's why Robin and I gave each other so much space through T1, space that wasn't given by the two cars directly behind me. A collision between Timo Kleffner and Bastian Juncker, and it's Juncker who spins out. Right, back to the live action. We've jumped forward to the start of lap 4, and as you can see, I'm really struggling to keep up with the leading 4. Tate is still in 4th position, but he is now 2 seconds down the road. And I'm pushing really hard here. My last lap was a 1:42.7, but I've made a big mistake going into Villeneuve, out into the gravel. Now I've got to learn from the mistakes I made earlier in the week. Those bumps ended my race on Monday, so I had to make sure they didn't do the same again. As a result, I have lost 1 position. I'm down into P6. Well, it's Timo Kleffner who's still chasing me here, but it wasn't Kleffner who took my P5, because he made the exact same mistake I did. Kleffner also out into the gravel, so instead it is Engin Don in the Porsche who gets passed up into P5. But yeah, the cold hard truth of it was that I was driving a bit beyond my capability, trying to keep up with the leading 4. I just didn't have the pace, and I ended up pushing just a touch too hard through Villeneuve. Well, we're now at the halfway point of the race. Don is just 0.6 of a second ahead of me in 5th. Meanwhile, the battle for 3rd rages on. Marcus Rosello currently in P3, but he is being put under all sorts of pressure from Robin Tate in the McLaren. We've got the TV cam switched on now, so we can watch this battle for 3rd position. But look what's happening in front of them. The race leader, Toby Casper, has made a huge mistake. He's out into the gravel. He's lost the lead of the race. Marcus Rosello has got past him. Robin Tate has got past him. Oh, look at the BMW. Rosello's lost it right in front of Tate. Tate's been forced out onto the grass. Rosello is down on pace. Look at Don forcing his way in between the pair of them, and now I'm right on their tail as well. Well, just as I thought that I'd lost touch with this leading pack, I am now right back in amongst it here. And incredibly, Toby Casper, after making that huge mistake and losing the lead, now finds himself back up into second position. So our new race leader is Felix Valentin, Casper in second, then somehow Marcus Rosello is still in third despite losing control of the BMW through Villeneuve. And then we've got Don in fourth, Tate in fifth and me still in sixth. Right, jumping forward now to the start of lap 11, just 7 minutes left on the clock, and I am managing to stay in touch with this pack ahead now. I've managed to get my fastest lap in the race down to a 1:42.3. Actually, last time around I clocked a 1:42.2. However, I was pushing so hard that I just exceeded track limits going through Acca Minerale, and it looks like I might have done the same again going through Villeneuve. I did do. Well, that shows just how hard I'm pushing here, not only to keep up with the pack in front, but actually to close in on them. I'm closer to Tate now than I've ever been, just 0.3 of a second the gap. And I got the impression earlier in the race that Tate may have been getting held up by Rosello, but now it's not only Rosello in front of him, it's Don as well, and that is playing right into my hands here. That is what's helping me close in on all three of them. Into Acca Minerale then. This is exactly the point where I invalidated my lap last time around. I think I might have done exactly the same again. Yes, I have. Fortunately, it doesn't count as an official track cut warning. I've still only got one of them, but I am going to have to start being careful here. And so is Don, by the looks of it, in fourth position. He rode too much of the curb, exiting that chicane, and got really ragged. Is that the opportunity that Tate needs to make a move? I don't think he's going to be able to into Rivazza because Don is taking the defensive line contact. Don almost loses it. Oh, I've got one better. I have lost it. I was just a little bit spooked when I saw Don go sideways there. I turned a little bit too heavily into the corner. The rear stepped out, and now I find myself down in 9th position. Oh, how frustrating. For the most part, I've driven really well in this race, but I've made two big mistakes that have both proved incredibly costly. The first one cost me 1 place. This one has cost me 3 places. Right, back to the live action then. We've got less than 3 minutes remaining on the clock, and it looks like P9 is going to be as good as I can hope for here. Now, I'm not actually too disappointed with that. I said before the start of the race that my realistic pace had me down in P8 or P9. So I'm probably exactly where I deserve to be, but you never know what might happen further down the road. Watch the TV cam. Robin Tate still piling the pressure on Don in fourth, but now it's Tate's turn to make a mistake. He's lost the rear into T1, and that is Tate into the gravel. So I will pick up 1 position here, up into P8. Oh, but I'm a little bit wide exiting that corner, just clipping the gravel. I don't want to be making mistakes like this so close to home. I think now might be the time just to settle down and be grateful for this 8th position. Both Timo Kleffner and Bram Smets are within sight in 6th and 7th, but I don't think I'm close enough as the back marker there gets out the way. And yeah, I wasn't close enough. We're jumping forward to the very final corner of the race. I'm still within 0.6 of a second of Smets, but it's just not close enough to mount a challenge. So I will have to settle for 8th position here. But as I said, it's not a disappointment at all. I am really pleased with this finish. My fastest lap in the race was a 1:42.3, so I raised my game in this one, and I was more than quick enough to challenge for a podium. I just need to stamp out those careless mistakes. Can I do it in race 2? Well, let's find out. And I've managed to go 1 better in qualifying for this one. I'll be starting from P3 on the grid. Now, my pace is a fair bit slower than the previous race. I was only able to post a 1:42.8. However, I'm only 1/10 off Maurizio Mori in pole position, and I know I've got faster laps in me. It's also a lower split, and I'm car number 2, so I have got to be considered among the favourites for the race win here. Can I do it? Well, let's find out. And once again we're underway. Can I be a bit sharper off the line than I was in the first race? Well, it doesn't look like I can. There's a Porsche closing right in behind. I've got Monster Racer alongside me on the second row. However, this time I will have the inside line into turn 1, but it didn't count for anything as Racer slams the door shut there. I had to get right out of that one to avoid any contact. So for the second race in a row, I find myself losing 1 position through T1 here at Imola. But once again, I am not disappointed at all about that. The main thing was to get through safely, get through unscathed. It was close, it was very close, but I've managed it, and I'm in P4, so well placed to challenge for a podium here. As things stand, the pole position driver Maurizio Mori is leading the way. Ruben Barcia right on his tail, then Monster Racer in third, me in fourth. And looking into the rearview mirror, that's Nicola Zane in fifth behind me in that green Porsche, the very same green Porsche that was breathing down my neck on the approach to T1. Right, I need to step it up a gear here because I'm in danger of letting this leading pack make a break for it. We saw in race 1 how easy it was to let the leaders slip away and how difficult it was to close that gap back down once they had done. So it's absolutely vital here that I close that gap back in on Racer. I need to stay within half a second of him. And I'm just about managing it at the moment, even with a clumsy line through that final chicane. 0.3 of a second the gap to Racer, then it's another 0.4 of a second to Barcia in second position. It looks like the pole position driver, Mori, may be making a break for it here. I really need the three in front to stay as a pack if I've got any hope at all of winning this race. Otherwise, it's going to be a battle for the podium. But we're one lap down here at Imola. Maurizio Mori leading the way, Ruben Barcia in second, Monster Racer third, me in fourth, and Nicola Zane 0.7 of a second behind in fifth. I'm a little bit worried about this gap that's starting to open up again between me and Racer. However, I will close right back in coming through T1. Oh, mistake for the race leader. Maurizio Mori has made a big mistake. He's sideways through that first chicane. And now Barcia takes over at the front, followed by Racer. I'm up into third. And it looks like Mori has managed to get back on track in front of Nicola Zane. So Mori is in fourth, but he's 1.5 seconds back now. This race is wide open. Yeah, after a relatively quiet opening lap, it all kicked off in turn 1 at the start of this second lap. Mori just taking a bit too much of the curb on the inside there, and I know from experience how difficult those Ferraris are to control when you ride the curb just a little bit too much. And meanwhile, behind me, there was even more drama. Watch the McLaren of Igor Golovin trying a late move up the inside of Nicola Zane, but loses control. Luckily for Zane, there was no real harm done. Right, back to the live action. We're approaching the end of lap 3, and unfortunately, the leading pack is just starting to spread out a bit. Barcia is making a break for it. He's got a lead of nearly 2 seconds now over Racer. Meanwhile, I'm just half a second behind the black Ferrari. Meanwhile, that incident right behind me in turn 1 at the start of lap 2 did me huge favours because Zane is now 1.5 seconds back, so I've got no real pressure in the rearview mirror. I can concentrate fully on catching and hopefully passing Racer, although it's proven to be pretty tricky at the moment. However, it is early in the race still, and if I am finding it difficult to try and find a way to engineer a clean pass, maybe instead I should just concentrate for now on applying more pressure on Racer. I'm certainly breathing down his neck. I'm closer than I've ever been here. Well, and there you go. It hasn't taken long at all for the pressure to count. Racer makes a huge mistake into Villeneuve. Well, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Only this time it is my turn to profit. I'm up into P2. Let's take another look at this. Racer actually walloped both curbs. There's the first curb, then he clips the second curb. There's no way of controlling that car. I nip past and take P2. So for the second time in this race, a Ferrari has trouble with the curbs and I benefit from it. I'm up into P2 and now I am in hot pursuit of the race leader, Ruben Barcia. But I fear that I may just be a bit too far behind. He's got a 3-second lead now. That is going to be incredibly difficult to close back in. But I've also got to be careful not to give the position right back to Racer. He is breathing down my neck. Right, jumping forward to the last lap of the race then. There's good news and bad news. The good news is I had more than enough pace to clear off from Racer. He's now 4 seconds back. The bad news is I didn't have enough pace to close in on Barcia. It was a pretty lonely run in second position for the remainder of this race, but I am not going to complain about a podium. They do not come along very often in ACC on Low Fuel Motorsport. And this one is particularly sweet given how torrid a time I had in this combo earlier in the week. If you haven't seen that video yet, it's on screen now. It's not pretty viewing. Well, thank you all for watching and I'll see you again very soon.